There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonko table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonko table, the table that will make their dreams come true. Yo, folks, that's the voice of your Yonko host, Dr. Jace Attorney, and we are making our return for our debut on the One Piece Chronicles pod. That's right, folks, Yonko table's coming back for some One Piece Chronicles. If you guys caught us last week, we were covering Thriller Bark, or at least the first half of Thriller Bark, which for most people is the weakest element of Thriller Bark. People don't tend to look too fondly on Thriller Bark as a whole, but if you're gonna really give it to a particular segment of Thriller Bark, the crappy end of the stick, you're gonna give it to the first half. The first half is just stuff that we really don't care about. Not everyone here is like lusting for the mystery of, oh my god, how does Sindri die? Oh my goodness, what's going on here? No one cares. But this second half of Thriller Bark, I think, can be enjoyed by a lot of people. I think this is probably the best segment of Thriller Bark, and quite possibly the best element of it is something that happens at the end of Thriller Bark. You could say after the conclusion. It's like the epilogue. It's probably the best part of this entire arc. But with me, as always, to deep dive Thriller Bark, the finale, is fellow Yonko Grandmaster. Grandmaster, are you here for the second half of Thriller Bark, or you kind of just mesh it all together and you're like, yeah, Thriller Bark, it's all the same to me. Nothing happened. I don't care.
Well, nothing did happen in Thriller Bark, and specifically referring to your background, nothing happened. So I'm sticking by that. So, but with that said, even though nothing happened, I don't believe any part of Thriller Bark is necessarily the crap end of the stick, as you so put it. It's either you buy into it,
so you're a
or you
stan
don't.
of this first. You love the Sindri mystery and like, oh wow, was she murdered? Ooh, the spooky paintings. Oh, what's going on here?
I'm just saying, it's like, it's okay. If you are not a big fan of Thriller Bark, that does not mean what Thriller Bark gives is not good. I just feel overall, Thriller Bark is not one of my highest rated arcs overall. However, I look at Thriller Bark as a whole. I definitely don't try to distinguish where Thriller Bark sectionize it off and be like, oh, the first part is weak, but the second half is bad. The first part is setup. So if you don't like setup, then you don't like the setup.
There is such thing as good setup and whatever the hell the first part of Thriller Bark was.
It's setup. It's setup. Now, whether
setup
or not
can be weak. Setup can be weak.
And that's what I'm saying. So what I'm getting at is that I don't find necessarily the whole arc, the greatest of all arcs. But if I look at it standalone, I believe the setup is good, and I believe the follow-up is good. I look at it as a whole. I can enjoy Thriller Bark as a whole.
Is it better than Foxy Pirates?
Yes, hands down better than Foxy Pirates.
So you're not.
That shouldn't even be a question.
Fan.
That shouldn't even be a question.
Interesting.
Yes, much better than Foxy Pirates.
I see. Some people of the One Piece fandom will have your head for that.
They can come for it if they like.
But we are not alone in deep diving this finale to Thriller Bark. We have Supernovas here to join us today. And let's get into it. So Thriller Bark, where we left off last week, Gecko Moria finally was able to capture Luffy's shadow, and he basically inserted the shadow into Oars, the giant. And now Oars, as a zombie, is basically mimicking the personality of our favorite soon-to-be Pirate King, both in terms of just the way he acts, why he's hungry all the time, all the way to where he thinks he ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi. Oars is jumping around, doing these weird moves like Gomu Gomu no Bazooka, and you know he can't do it. You know he can't.
We know he can't, but it is hilarious because when he does it, he's like, "Oh, I could have sworn I could stretch."
I mean, it's funny because it's, in a way, it is Luffy, because like one of the first things that Oars says, and I think we mentioned it last week, when he wakes up, he starts calling out for Sanji. He starts saying like, "Where's the food, Sanji? Where's my meat? I want meat."
So basically what they set up is a race against time, because slowly but surely Oars is not going to be, repping Luffy. He's eventually,
right.
His shadow is going to lose the Luffy-ness to it.
Right.
And then he'll be a slave to Gecko Moria.
That'll be a powerful slave for Gecko Moria too.
A very powerful slave. What a terrible term, a slave.
There are slaves in One Piece.
Yes, and that, yeah, definitely. That's what's going on here. It's setting up the race against time. But Luffy's will is strong, and it's coming all the way through Oars. He's like, "Guys, a kunai."
And in the anime, he's talking like it's literally Luffy's voice, right? In the anime,
it's Luffy's voice actress, okay. And she just takes it down like a bunch of octaves. No, like a bunch of octaves, and it's hilarious.
It is quite funny. I did not watch the anime like in its entirety of Thriller Bark, but I did watch the bits and pieces that would be important. So I watched, the Brook versus Ryuma fight, Zoro versus Ryuma, just to get a feel of like how some of these characters are talking. Because I'm like, yeah, the characters in the manga are saying you're sounding like this, but is it literally your voice that is coming from these shadow possessed zombies? So I had to confirm with the anime on that. Speaking of Brook versus Ryuma, did we cover that last week where Ryuma just wiped the floor with Brook? He just obliterated him.
We did not talk about it at all. We did not talk about it.
Okay.
I think we mentioned maybe the past on how he originally tried to get his shadow back, and he lost.
Ryuma whooped that ass.
But I don't think we did not talk about the current status, the current rematch of Brook and Ryuma. And how long has it been now? 5 years?
I don't know if
or was it 5 years the first time?
What, 5 years since
he first fought Ryuma?
I'm not sure how. I know it's been a number of years. I'm not sure if it's 5. It might be 3, 2.
I know 5. I know 5 is in there. At whether or not that's 5 from the first time he lost his shadow and first challenge Ryuma, or I don't know if it's been 5 years since that first challenge. Because the first fight was in a graveyard, he lost, and he's like, it was very emotional because he's like,
don't whatever cut you my do, afro.
Don't cut my afro, right?
And you think it's a gimmick too, like you're like something silly. It's like, oh, don't cut my afro. It's a part of me. It looks nice. I don't want to cut it off because if you do, I can't grow it back because I'm a skeleton.
Does this play into he wants to be recognizable for somebody?
Well,
we haven't talked about it yet.
Later it does, but at first he's just saying, please don't cut my afro.
So we don't know. We don't know.
At this moment, it just makes it seem like it's played for laughs. Like that's the most recognizable aspect of Brook. So because he can't grow it back, he's like, I mean, don't cut it off. Like I won't be able to grow my afro back. So you think it's just something silly, like don't do it.
Okay.
No.
So
but
we
obviously
learned there's
it's something much
deeper.
more than that, right? Later on.
Yes. And again, I'm telling you, there's good in Thriller Bark. Brook is great.
This is the second half that I'm talking about.
No, it's all a whole. Either way, Brook, what they got going on with Brook is really good. So yeah, so it's been 5 years since he last challenged Ryuma, and he's like, I've gotten stronger. I'm gonna get my shadow back. And I mean, long story short, he loses again.
Right. This time he's trying to protect right Nami and Usopp and Chopper.
No, they're not. No, they're not even here. They're not even here.
They're not here.
Nami at this point.
She was captured by Absalom already.
Absalom got her, and then Usopp and Chopper are rescued by Frankie and Robin. So now, it's like some goals. It's like got to get back all 3 shadows, because we didn't mention there was a zombie who has Zoro's shadow. So there's a zombie that has Zoro's shadow, right. The penguin dog that has Sanji's shadow, and then Oars has Luffy's shadow. And in the midst of putting Oars, they eventually ran out of that bear. And I think the bear was chasing them too, but
Kumasi.
Yes. So then Absalom, yes, he appears, kidnaps Nami. So Nami's kidnapped. Usopp and Chopper get beaten by Absalom, but are eventually rescued by Frankie and Robin. So now it's like, okay, folks, let's rendezvous. Let's figure out what the fuck we got to do. Okay. And so they go back to the Sunny and they find what a process. They take their shadows and then they just put them back on their ship.
Yeah, because what is it? If the body dies or gets obliterated in the sun, doesn't the shadow also go away, or no?
No, I don't think so. No.
I thought there was a gimmick with that because that was the whole point of like they didn't kill them right then and there because it would mess with the shadow. Oh,
maybe I do not know.
Because it's kind of weird. Maybe it was a small detail that I missed, but I remember there was something like that where if that's why they would let them live. You know, they didn't just because Gecko Moria with Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji unconscious. It's like, well, kill them, you know, like toss them into the water or something, like get rid of them. But they set them back on their ship. And I think there was something about that where if they die, then the shadow goes along with them. But then at the same time, during the fight with Oars later on in the arc, Gecko Moria is like trying to outright kill them. So it's like, wait, I missed something. Is it like I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on at that point. But
so sorry.
Kame Chris, look at that.
I got
with the expertise.
I swore that my headphones are working. I'm like, oh, I don't think they could hear me, or I'll be whatever. Change my headphones, but so he can change the shape of the body by using the shadows as well. So he does the reverse where he can control the body by using the shadow. And then he can also like put the stolen shadows in his body. That's how he got stronger. Now, when it comes to like the sun, I really don't know about that. I don't remember that being a thing, like the body's being exposed to the sun or something. I don't know.
Yes, that's a thing. That's a thing.
Right.
Okay.
So there's a thing where because that's why Brook was stuck in the Florian Triangle. There was fog everywhere. But if you got out into the sun, and your shadow was stolen. Yeah, you're gonna disintegrate. I could have sworn, and I read this like recently, and now I'm like, oh my god, when did they say this? I could have sworn there was something where there was a link between if the actual body dies, the shadow that was stolen will also, I guess, disintegrate or disappear, whatever. Because they were still linked in a way, and I thought, and I remember that was the reason why Gecko Moria left the Straw Hats alive, because he technically knocked out Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro. So it's like, well, kill them if you can. They're right there. You have their shadows, but he didn't. So it might be something later on. I might have missed it. It might have been a minor detail where it's like, I guess maybe after some time, maybe the link is severed. So now since it's no longer acting like Luffy, it's not tied to him anymore, and so you can just
I'm looking at it now. It doesn't say anything about that the human has to be alive If the human's alive, they are alive, and they will lose that connection. However, if they are purified with the salt, they will still return to their original body. So even if it's been that long time of, being apart, they still return.
Oh
regardless.
yeah.
So, but no, it doesn't say anything about the human having to stay alive for the shadow to still.
It says it. It says that the person dies and the shadow will die with them, even when
Where
separated.
does it say that?
It says it on the One Piece wiki.
I'm on the One Piece wiki.
I know I read it, but I know it's there. It is part of the lore. What I don't know is when does that no longer matter? I guess it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because it's like, who cares? They kick Gecko Moria's ass either way. It's just I'm missing that middle piece where it's like, okay, you said this would happen if the real body dies, but then why does it really not matter that much anymore? It's not that big a deal. It's just a minor little detail that was like, that kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit as we started going along in Thriller Bark. Sanji, Zoro, Luffy, they get dropped off on the Sunny again. They kind of pose them in like these weird little positions. And funny enough, Usopp, in order to wake them up because they're unconscious, they got their shadows stolen. I thought this was kind of funny. Usopp, to wake them up. Well, first they start beating them. They start saying, "What the hell are you guys doing? You guys are being stupid." And that doesn't wake them up at all. So Usopp instead says, "Look, there's a beautiful female sword master carrying lots of meat." And literally one by one, they all wake up. You got Sanji saying, "Beautiful female." Luffy saying, "Oh, meat." Zoro, sword master.
That is hilarious.
That was nice. That was nice.
And then Chopper's like, these guys are useless. That is so funny.
It was perfect. I enjoyed that bit. And this is kind of where they're all kind of just recuperating, planning on how they're going to retaliate against Gecko Moria, because I think Nami is still missing at this time. And Sanji, of course, being Sanji, wants to go out and save Nami because that's his girl. That's his girl. And Nico Robin.
Is it his girl?
Girl with the parentheses S and parentheses. Right. But Sanji ain't having it. You get him all fired up and he's like ready to go rescue Nami. At the same time, Frankie starts telling them about what he learned from Brook, because they all rendezvoused on the ship. And what does he start telling him about Brook, Grandmaster?
Well, what he gives him his whole backstory, no? As far as Brook and his crew,
right?
They made a friend a long time ago, and their friend could not travel with them because they were going into the new world. Right, they're crossing into the Grand Line. Yeah, and like he can't come with us. Well, this friend, they're a very musical pirate group, and this friend of theirs loved their music, and that's how they became friends. Enticed by their music, and it was just a solid bond, and that was their non-kama. Their non-kama. And
there's no end there.
Yeah, it's a Nakama.
Why do you do this?
No, it's Nakama. That's how you pronounce it. Okay. It sounds like there's another end. It's okay.
Don't stop.
So
Oogie Bada have an ass.
So
God.
They promise though they will return to their Nakama. And if he waits there, he's gonna wait there for his return. But what happens? They catch a disease that just kills them one by one.
Maybe the anime changed this differently, because I could see them maybe adapting it a different way. This is jumping ahead a little bit, but you learn that the rest of the crew dies, and it was from a battle They were attacked by some random pirates that had poison on their weapons. And that's what you learn that much later when Brook gives full disclosure on what his life was before he died.
We'll come back.
Yeah.
But we do learn who is their nakama that he's waiting for. Well, it's none other than Laboon.
Whoa.
Laboon, and they're like, he is waiting for them.
We know that whale.
And it's funny because he told that story to Frankie and Robin, who don't know that. They know
did
him.
Not. They just said, "Oh wow, that's very honorable." There, he's trying to make his way back to some random whale, on Reverse Mountain. But that whale's a big deal. Let me ask you, when you first got to, because you probably jumped around a lot, kind of like with most One Piece fans at this point, at least in the West, because these arcs kind of just came and went as they were aired or when they released their chapters. Did you ever once think Laboon was gonna make a reappearance like this in the story? Like, did you ever think Luffy was gonna bump into, like, well, it was 50 years ago, so he wasn't gonna bump into the pirates that were from 50 years ago. But did you ever think this element was gonna come back into the story, Laboon?
I mean, I was like, for me, at that time, I didn't expect anybody to start coming back until like right after that, I want to say, scene of Laboon. Like when we started seeing those, like what was it, like Mr. Like I forget who we actually saw already, but when we like see them again, like right after that, I don't think like we had like too many reoccurrence of like characters. So I guess you know what I mean. Like there wasn't like too many like all like characters that we've seen before because it's still kind of early.
Yeah, like the most you probably got was like, and we mentioned it during that pod, like Kobe and Helmeppo coming back at the end of Enies Lobby. So,
that was the start. That was the start.
Yeah. So I mean, I had no idea that we were going to get this whale, like, at the time, like over again. Like it just went over my head. So when I was like, "Oh, Laboon, are you serious?" Like
of all people,
of all people, we need to get this whale back. He needs to be a Straw Hats.
I kind of want him to be. That was really cool.
It was a beautiful motivational piece, right? They're like,
right.
Well, damn, if there was ever a reason to bring this skeleton aboard the crew, now it is, because we promised to go back and see him as well, Right. And they put the Jolly Roger on him. Remember, they painted the Jolly Roger on his head and told him to stop smashing the mountain.
Otherwise, it's going to wipe off the Jolly Roger.
Right. So now it's like, One Piece is romantic. This is so romantic.
Right, the connection.
It's like poetry,
like wow, like the layers of connections.
Like an onion, right?
So
and again, this is where it kind of doubles back to the Ryuma versus Brook fight, because in the middle of this fight, now that you know what Brook told Frankie about him wanting to see Laboon, you get more backstory as to his afro. At first, it's just played off for laughs, like, "Oh no, my afro's like so cool. I don't want you to cut it, Ryuma. Please go easy on me." That's not the case, because Brook wants the only recognizable feature he has left to stay in contact with him, so that when he does see Laboon will recognize him and not just see a spooky skeleton. Romantic.
It
writes itself.
It's so bad when we talk about some of the cringe stuff of Oda, like with like Absalom. It's like,
oh my god,
how can you write a character like Absalom and then write this freaking beautiful poetry, Renaissance, Shakespeare, flip it over in your grave, having, it's like, come on, man, just do this stuff. We want this stuff.
Exactly.
This is
like
great.
just stick to this. Stick to
This
this
was-
theme.
This was fantastic.
This is the theme.
Like I was shocked. Obviously, Ryuma's still whooping that ass, but it was still heartwarming because Brooke ain't winning against Ryuma. He's just not. He can't handle it. He's powerful.
He should, but then it's a powerful host being what's that country Ryuma's from?
Wano.
Oh, I thought we said Wano last week.
Oh, Wano. We did say Wano.
Can't be important.
Can't be important. It'll never resurface again.
Yeah, we'll never. Yeah, forget about it.
Just like Laboon.
And I'm
Who
sure
would've
if
thought
it ever
forget
does,
about it.
I'm sure if it ever does, it'll be a mid-arc as usual.
Oh,
Good.
for sure.
Oh,
Probably be up there with like Foxy Pirates in terms
Easily.
of irrelevancy.
Yeah, skippable. Filler.
You can skip it. You'll live. But at this point, that kind of re-energizes Luffy. He's super excited. He's like, all right, now I have even more reason to go back and kick Gecko Moria's ass. Let's go and save Brook, and let's go to the Grand Line at some point again and reunite these two, Laboon and Brook, because he made a promise and Brook will keep his promise. So they kind of got a game plan now. They're all kind of splitting up. Brook gives them little pouches of salt. It's like, all right, this works on the zombies. You just stick it in their mouth. Bam. The zombification is done. Their shadows will leave their bodies. At the same time, because Oars is just stupid with Luffy's shadow, he is just going around causing insane chaos. He is like jumping on the castle. He's jumping like to the top of the mast, and he's saying what Grandmaster was saying earlier, Kaizo Koni. And he's breaking things. He's a mess.
He has no idea how big he is.
Absolutely none.
It's the complete idiocy of Luffy that is just illuminating from this like very massive character that is supposed to give you like that's
because he should be intimidating. He's a giant, and giants are powerful in One Piece. But he's just got that dumb voice from Luffy, and he's acting dumb like Luffy.
And I want to say too, like the connection that the shadows have to like the actual person is insane. Like the way Oda always has to reconnect people to like, even if they like get separated or turned into something or whatever, like it's always going to be something like their heart and soul is still there.
Oh yeah, like some of these zombies are kind of relevant. Obviously you have Ryuma, and you also have Captain John. I think he was in the first half.
Is he the old man?
Yeah, he's the old man that Buggy was always on about. Like, oh, we gotta find Captain John's treasure.
Really?
Yes. He was in the first half when you first started seeing the zombies.
Gotcha. I mean, Lola too is going to be important later on.
Lola too is going to be very, oh my God, Lola, very, very important.
Yeah, Lola's a big deal.
She is a very big deal. Oh my, yeah, now that I'm remembering everything, I'm like, goodness, she has a critical role throughout One Piece, and that's insane. So yeah, you kind of have all the Straw Hats storming the castle, and of course they get split up because Oars is being a jackass. You have Luffy, Chopper, and Robin. They get split up to the upper half of the castle to get Gecko Moria, and then Zoro, Frankie, Sanji, and Usopp. They get to the bridge that Oars collapses is now separating the two groups. So now that group that I just mentioned, they are encountering Oars at the moment, because they're right in front of him. At the same time, this is hella funny, right? At the same time, those ghosts that we mentioned earlier, they keep making their reappearance, and it doesn't seem like a good way to be able to counter them, because the ghosts just go right through you, and then that's it. You get negative. You get
The
pessimistic.
negative hollows.
The negative hollows. Horo. Is that how our girl laughs?
Oh,
Corona.
I don't actually know her laugh. Don't
I think
quote me.
I think it's like that. Horo. Horo.
I believe it. Yeah, I don't know it.
Possibly. I don't. Yeah, I have to see.
It's a silly laugh. And so you're kind of getting your pairings at this time. So I think right now Luffy is going into like the ice, or I guess the freezer where Gecko Moria is and where Oars was first awoken. At the same time, you have Chopper and Robin. They're going to face off against Sindri and Dr. Hogback, which really shouldn't be that hard of a fight. I mean, it's Chopper and Robin. I would hope they can handle it, but
2/3 of the devil fruit users on the crew.
The what?
They're 2/3 of the devil fruit users of the crew.
Right. And even so, like, it's Dr. Hogback and Sindri. They can't have too much up their sleeves to get out of their fingers, but turns out they do. Turns out they do.
Geez, I don't even remember what happens in this fight.
That's because this fight really goes all over the place. This is kind of like where in Enies Lobby, once the crew starts splitting up, the fights start to get a little bit chaotic because when they encounter one character, they might fight them as a group, but then they might split up for just one character to fight that one villain.
Right.
So what do you remember at this point?
I don't remember the Hogback confrontation, but I do
really
remember.
Wasn't anything.
I don't remember. But I'm flipping through it now. I see they come upon Perona, the four of them, and I do remember this. I distinctively remember this. The
pairing
and how the hollows. So the hollows makes everybody think negative, and that's why no one can really fight her, except for Usopp. And she's like, what? Why isn't this working? And it's like, I'm always negative. And sure enough, he is always negative. He's always ready to run away and say, we're too weak. We can't beat these guys.
That's it. Yeah, every time they went through them, it was like they all had the same expression that Usopp usually has. So it was like, oh, they all kind of look like Usopp right now.
This was so good. You get this like entire panel shot of Perona's face, kind of like Eneru's when when Eneru realized his powers were useless against Luffy. Actually, you know what? This is a very Luffy versus Eneru type of fight.
The complete the counter to
literally the complete counter to the devil fruit user. And you even get a very similar reaction. Look at that. That's literally Eneru's face right there. That's Eneru's face.
I didn't realize we actually get this reaction a lot in these situations.
Right.
This is I think you start to see similar ones. I want to say this is the second one. I want to say this is the second one so far. First one was Eneru's.
I think yes, and then I would say this is the second one, and then Usopp gets the next one.
He does? In this arc?
No, way later.
Oh, you mean? Are you talking about New World?
Yes.
That's
correct.
not the same face. I know which one you're talking about. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
It's going for that effect.
But yeah, Usopp's the exact counter. I love that because now this dude is he's so confident. He's like, boys, don't worry, I'll take care of this. You go along. And it's like, okay, Usopp, like, you're so confident now knowing that there's a devil fruit user that cannot have any effect on you. I wonder how far that confidence will go as the fight continues.
This is his moment. This is his moment.
He's very proud of himself right now. So meanwhile, he tells his friends to go on. You get a switch over to the cringe of Thriller Bark. This is where Absalom is in the church, and he's about to get married to Nami. She's unconscious, and of course they have to prop her body up so that she could stand up in her wedding dress. And this is just weird, man. This is just, they end the chapter on Absalom sweating bricks about to kiss Nami to officially wed each other. Can you imagine reading this weekly and that's the end of the chapter? You get Usopp saying, "Oh my God, I'm extremely negative. Go on, boys, I'll handle this." And the end of the chapter is Absalom about to kiss Nami.
He's just that, the more I look at it, he's that wolf from the old cartoons who used to goo eyes and aruga. Taken to a very
like in Looney Tunes.
Yes, taken to a very worse extreme. Yes, terrible place to end the chapter. Also, this part of Thriller Bark I am like not a fan of. I do not care about this.
But you gotta look at it as a whole.
As I look at it as a whole, this is like the thing I really dislike a lot about Thriller Bark. It's this Absalom. He's the worst. And then it's just stupid. Nami's body is like,
yeah, she's unconscious. Yeah, like she's
dodging all his kisses.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he keeps trying to kiss her and she won't let it.
It's like, what the hell is going on here?
This was too silly.
Yeah, it's silly, and then it's weird, and then it's like it tries to make it cool. Well, Sanji busts in, so Sanji makes it, and they have their little fight.
Don't you want to mention Absalom's arm cannon?
Well, I do want to mention this. I don't know if the manga does it, but the anime does this, and it's like really funny. Sanji has two I don't know what you call it, two bones to pick with Absalom.
Go ahead. I think I know one of them.
One, because he kidnapped Nami.
Okay, I know what the second one is. They did it in the manga too.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Take it. No, take it.
I was gonna say the fact that he's invisible. He can see everybody naked. He just peeping Tom. He has like the best devil fruit in the world.
There was so much buildup because Sanji was being very serious for that second reason. Like he was, because you don't know what the deal is, but you're like, if there was one devil fruit, that was the one I wanted. And you're wondering like, oh my God, Sanji, like why? Like what's the big deal? Like what did this man do to you? Why do you want that devil fruit? And then you get this stupid reason. I wanted the invisible fruit to peep on people. And it's like, oh my goodness, man. Sanji, why? Why?
But it's played out so funny because he's like trying to be all noble and it keeps slipping out of his mouth. He's like, how dare you people on those girls? I wanted people on them.
Oh like, yes, he's doing it.
How dare you use that devil fruit in unjust place? I was gonna peep on them.
I wonder if that comes back.
What, the invisible fruit that Sanji wants to eat it?
The idea of him being invisible or like that at all.
Well,
what, that Sanji wants it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like if he if that fruit is still trying to be taken, like if anybody cares, like if that devil fruit is still wanted, or
well,
we are aware of that status of the fruit.
The status of the fruit would be interesting because we know where it currently is and who has it, because it's no longer Absalom, meaning Absalom has to be dead.
Correct.
But the person that has it, I'm wondering if Sanji's really gonna bring up this stupid reason again to the person that has it. It's a very serious person that has the devil fruit, and it's like, Sanji, I know you're not gonna bring up that stupid dream to this man. You might, but he's gonna slap you.
I don't think he would need to, but yeah, he might. I think, yeah, he might actually make it a point still.
He don't need to say nothing to this man because this man's about to mollywop him.
He will cut Sanji's head
exactly.
Yeah.
But Absalom, you learn that, oh yeah, one of his gimmicks is that he had bazookas tucked in his sleeves. It was something dumb. It was something dumb. Or no, not tucked in his sleeve. He had bazookas that were invisible on his wrists, and he would use those to like blast away people.
Well, you learned that, and then he got all this enhancements from Hogback.
Because he's like half gorilla, half.
He's got gorilla strength, like boar strength. He's just everything.
He's supposed to be very powerful.
He's basically a chimera. He's a chimera.
A chimera, yes.
And he is powerful. Sanji starts losing. So Sanji comes and starts kicking butt, and then eventually he starts losing. I forgot all about that. I was like, oh man, I forgot.
How's he start losing again?
He goes invisible and he stabs Sanji like in the back.
Oh, because he's holding Nami, right? He's trying to protect Nami.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. But that doesn't really last that long, does it? Like eventually he just starts kicking him again, and
I don't remember if Sanji is the one that beats him. I don't think he beats him.
He is the one that beats him. He does extra Hachi's hash. It goes to the point where you're right. He does get stabbed by Absalom, and literally the Sanji is on the floor bleeding from these stab wounds. Nami, and he throws Nami to the side saying, "Oh, Nami, I don't want to get blood on your beautiful white dress." and he's saying, like he's talking to himself. He's saying like, that invisible man can hide like the coward he is, because right now Absalom is invisible. He's stabbing Sanji, and he's like, I don't care anymore if I can't be invisible. I'll go peeping using my own powers.
Sanji says that.
Sanji says that, and the zombies are like, "Oh my god, you're still gonna go peeping?"
He's like, you're just as bad.
It's so dumb, and maybe the anime does it differently, but literally Sanji just sees Absalom step in his own blood, and he just grabs him. He's like, "Oh, okay, there you are," and he just kicks the crap out of him.
Oh, that's so different. He uses a salt ball, that one of Usopp's salt balls, and throws it. Oh
wow!
And then he finds him that way, and then kicks the shit out of him continuously. Like,
interesting. Okay. Yeah,
so
this one is just.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it for Absalom.
Yeah, he kicks his ass.
Yeah, he literally just kicks him to like nothing.
Like he just obliterates him with so many kicks. Like Absalom is gone after that.
And I don't know if they did this in the manga, but Sanji thought that Nami was an actual like angel.
Yes, he did. Yes. He would say, "Oh my god, is this a goddess?" And whether that's implying anything, I sincerely doubt it. But I know some One Piece theorists out there will be like, "Is Nami Uranus?"
Oh no. God.
There are people that genuinely think Nami is like an actual, like they use this scene that Kame Chris brought up about Sanji mistaking Nami to be a goddess. They use that as backup for Nami being more self-important later in the story. Mm-hmm. I don't buy it, but this scene right here is used to give credit to that theory that people bring up. But yeah, Absalom's done at this point. He Sanji just kicks the crap out of him. Good riddance. You switch back to Perona versus Usopp. We actually missed this part in this fight. Perona starts freaking out, and she's like, "Oh my god, the hollows are not working at him," and she just sends like 5 or 6 hollows to go straight through Usopp. So it's like, there's no way that Usopp's gonna, bounce back from that. And once the hollows pass through them, the hollows are the ones that are now negative. And they're like, he out negative the hollows. Meaning Usopp is more negative than a devil fruit ability that's made to make you feel negative.
God Usopp. Just call him that now.
That is a God Usopp. That's a God Usopp moment. That's top tier. But yeah, at that point, it's like Perona realizes, all right, this is not working. Let me go and start running away. Do you remember the fight from here on? The fight with Perona versus Usopp?
I just pulled it up, and this might be one of the greatest Usopp fights.
I loved it.
This is crazy good. So she calls the bear.
Kumasi.
The bear's like trying to knock him out while she's flying away, running away. And Usopp's doing work. He's dodging. He's taking out some zombies here and there. But then at one point, I think he gets clocked by the bear.
Yes.
And then you're like, and that's like the classic, damn, Usopp's out for the count. There's no way he's waking up from that. Like, Usopp may not have super strength for offense, but his defense is crazy. How
he has insane durability.
How he gets up, I don't know. But he gets up, and from there, I think he figures her little secret. As far as what is it? She's the ghost fruit?
The hollow fruit.
And that allows her to be a ghost?
It doesn't necessarily allow her to be a ghost. Hold up, wait. There is build up to this. Because you kind of just, because I know where you're about to get to the reveal, but there's build up.
I mean, no, there's build up. So what? The bear's about to hit again.
The bear. So she does like one of those like little, like a bunch of those little ghosts that explode, and she sends them to Usopp, and they start exploding on him. They're like bombs. They're like little miniature bombs. That destroys Usopp. At the same time, you get the scene right after that where Kumasi does the full pullback behind Usopp and just boom, just slams his head into the concrete.
Yeah.
And then he starts wailing on him. At the same time, Usopp is having this inner monologue saying, "Oh my God, I thought I could do this."
I see.
Go ahead. You see?
He's go like, ahead. For me to save them, that was a little too heavy for me. Help me. And then he pops up. Help me, Soge King.
Boom! Oh man, I love this.
What's the song?
This is on you.
Soge King of Vermont.
Does this theme start playing at this part?
I'm pretty sure it starts playing, like not in like full on overtaking
the Super Sentai bit, but
no, it plays the song.
The song plays, but
yes,
not the intro.
No, like the intro doesn't play. No, the intro doesn't play. No, but
the song.
The mask comes on, and he purifies the bear. He's a whole new fighter now.
He's completely different. Obviously, he treats it as such because he's like, "Nice to meet you. I'm Soge King."
Right. He takes on a whole which is just so silly, and it's so funny because it's Usopp. It's just so stupid.
But I mean, it's funny because go ahead.
Oh, it's just funny because it's like it works and it's hilarious, and it does give him like extra juice to keep going.
He's having this inner monologue with Soge King. It's literally Usopp arguing with Soge King. He's saying like, "We gotta run, Soge King. We gotta run." And Soge King is telling him, "No, calm down. You have to fight. You will win this fight." I like that. I don't know. Like, it's just a part of Usopp's pre-time skip Usopp. I like this development with him.
I like this
development. He's starting to get the confidence that he needed and he's shown at the during Enies Lobby. Mm-hmm. And this is his way of doing it. And this is what Usopp needs pre-time skip to whoop some ass. I'm here for it. Because he does indeed whoop some ass. That's around the time he starts discovering, which is what you were saying earlier, right? Like he learns that the Perona that he was fighting when she started to run away from him was actually kind of like a ghost in a way. But that's because her actual body was projecting in another room. It was immobile.
Right. And, she's basically what's the word? She's just an open target at that point.
An open target, right?
Like you can't leave the body unprotected.
Exactly. If any harm that comes to the body, it's done. If it doesn't work. But and you kind of see the implementation of his impact dial stuff again. Because
I love it when he uses the impact dial. He's about to get clocked by another one of her zombies.
No, the ghost, one of her like giant special hollows.
Oh yes, and it's an impact or is it
It's an impact.
The other, it's not the other one, right?
It's an impact dial. It's an impact.
You
dial.
know the other one I'm talking about. Oh, a reject dial. It's not a reject dial.
It's not a reject dial, right? It's an impact dial.
And so then and again, oh man, you just like it's so frustrating to watch Usopp sometimes because here he fucking steps up and he's like so good, and he impacts the shit out of the zombie, the hippo one.
Yep.
And it's like, look at Usopp, be a badass.
Look at
him
excited.
Go. He's doing so good. It's so great to watch Usopp do good. And then what? He hits her with the cockroaches.
He hits her with the cockroaches. She starts losing. I would lose it too.
Oh God!
If Usopp did that to me, like, no, I'm done.
I'm livid. I am livid if I get hit by cockroaches. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not fighting anymore. Like, there's no way.
Oh man.
So she's freaking out, and then oh my gosh,
this right here was Z tier level of final blows in Thriller Bark. Go ahead.
But let me tell you, it's just like the anime does this so fucking funny. I think he like walks out of the shadow and he has the hammer.
Yes, the 10-ton hammer. Did you know I'm the strongest man in the East Blue?
What? Oh my God. And she believes it every bit. She's like a 10-ton hammer. And oh my gosh, it is so freaking funny. And he swings it, golden pound. And it's just so funny because she doesn't knock out from the hammer because it's a freaking balloon. She knocks out of fear for her life.
Your fear. I mean, think about it. If you think you're going to get clocked in the head with a 10-ton hammer, I mean, just the anticipation of the impact, that I totally believe. That just knocked her the hell out. She was gone. She's foaming at the mouth. She's having a seizure.
Right. It's just like, oh God, Usopp, man.
So good. So good.
This is like top 10 Usopp moment, like for sure. Dare I say top
10?
5.
Like, let's go top 5. Top 5.
Top 5
easily.
For sure. Goodness. Just so good. You just can't get enough.
So that wraps up the Usopp versus Perona fight. Again, top 5 moment for our boy Usopp. The only other remaining fight, because it's Sanji versus Absalom, Usopp versus Perona. Zoro wants to face off against Ryuma after he beat down Brook. And I think Zoro has a stake in this because he realizes the blade that Ryuma has is one of those higher tier blades in the world of One Piece. It's one of the more powerful ones.
Yes.
And his logic is, well, I mean, my last blade was disintegrated during Enies Lobby. I kind of need a new one because my whole shtick is 3 sword style, and I've been rocking 2 sword style for a good amount of chapters right now, and that ain't working.
You're right. He's rocking the two swords in. He's putting up a fight. It's just kind of a stalemate.
It is. It's a good fight. Like I mean, there's nothing that sticks out too much. I mean, their fight kind of extends to the rooftop of one of the buildings in Thriller Bark.
Right.
But like there was no like crazy like, oh man, when Zoro did this, it was just so insane compared to Usopp. You know, I think Usopp's fight outshines Zoro's in this one.
I just think, it's always more fun to watch Usopp come out on top because he's the underdog. Zoro in this fight, although at a disadvantage for being two swords, he's coming out on top because Brook lost this fight.
Right.
So it's like, well, the only other person to avenge Brook is going to be the other swordsman. So it had to go to Zoro. But with that said, it's a fun fight because he's essentially fighting Brook. He's fighting Brook and whatever these Wano samurais are.
Wano.
It's a pivotal fight, no doubt, because it's like, damn, one, Brook is really powerful as a swordsman, A, and then B, whoever the heck this Ryuma dude is from Wano, what a country this must be. And then that sword is pretty badass too. Because it's black. Badass. No, it's black, right?
It's black.
Shushui, right?
Shushui.
Was this the first time we saw Black Sword?
Yeah. Yes.
A completely black sword? I thought
well, other than Mihawk's sword.
Well, Mihawk, right. I thought one of the swords before that Zoro had was black.
I thought that too, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. I mean, this sword sticks with Zoro, I think, for a long time. I think he still has this sword. I'm pretty sure he still has it.
I don't think he gets a new sword till, well, maybe if we see Wano, I think he gets a new sword in Wano.
Well, I mean, it's funny that we mentioned Wano because, once Zoro beats this guy and he purifies him, the shadow goes back to Brook. The samurai, Ryuma, he tosses Zoro the sword. He's like, all right, you earned this. And the end of the chapter ends with Zoro. It's a little panel of Zoro, and he's like, all right, this sword is mine to keep, but let's pretend this fight never happened, samurai of the Wano country. And it's like, Oda, you kind of devoted a little something to this, but there's no way we're seeing this country at some point, right? There's no way. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
Listen, if this
2007.
Correct. If this dude had this all planned out, which part of me feels he really did, or at least he knows his roadmap. He knows what has to be somewhere on the roadmap. Exactly. So again, beauty right there. Great foreshadow, great setup. And you don't even know what the heck you're being set up for.
Right. Again, just greatness all around with these fights. But unfortunately, we have to mention a not so great fight. This is your favorite, the one that you barely could remember. This is the Chopper,
I really don't remember,
and Robin versus Hogback fight. I wouldn't really even call it a fight. It's not really a fight either.
You forgot Ryuma's shadow went to Brook.
No, I mentioned that.
Oh, you mentioned it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got, yeah, okay.
It was very quick. Yeah, it was he got defeated by Zoro, and then the shadow goes back to Brook. So now Brook is happy. But yeah, this is not really even a fight. It's more like a clash of ideals, more so than a fight, because Chopper could whoop Hogback's ass like easily. But you kind of get the ideals of like Hogback saying like, I never really cared for people. I would not go to such lengths to be a great doctor just to help others. I practice surgery for money. You learn that Hogback is in it for the money. And that goes against Chopper's whole deal because he's a doctor to help people. He does not do this for the money. He is here to help others. But I mean, it's like, okay, and then at this point they start making like Hogback like really be like a piece of crap. Like then he starts kicking around Sindri because she's not like listening to him, or not that she's not listening to him, but more so that he's emphasizing to Chopper, this is the pinnacle of science. Look, I can beat the crap out of Sindri and she can't do anything about it because she's a zombie. That's my science that's allowing me to do that. And I would do it again under Gecko Moria's rule. And then you get the reveal of like, it's just, actually, you know what? No, Grandmaster, you were happy about building up to the Sindri mystery and who she really was. What was the big reveal with Sindri? What was the big reveal?
Actually, looking at it, I'm like, I did it like this. It's
you
again,
didn't. You did not.
No, I did like this. As Nino said, the emotional connection that Chopper has to this whole thing is pretty good. Sindri, and again, there's some. It's not. Oh God, these characters are just terrible characters. Absalom is a piece of shit. Hogback's a piece of shit. He was in love with Sindri, who was an actress. She rejected him, and she had a fatal accident, and he brought her back to life. What is it? That's Sindri's shadow. That's her shadow. But
no,
that's not.
That's not her. That's her body.
That's her body.
The
right.
shadow is of a maid that hates dishes. Just a random maid.
Right. So they put some random shadow in her.
Right.
So Hogback can have his weird fetish.
Because, oh my God, I don't even want to get into what Hogback was doing with that zombie.
Yeah, no, I mean, we don't have to get into it, but yeah, it's like just terrible. It's gross. And then Chopper at his core, he's all about finding cures to help people and be the best doctor he can. And here he looked up to this doctor who's abusing human life, for his own personal sick game. And this just doesn't work with Chopper. And he's over here, he like pins down Sindri and he's like, you don't have to listen to this man, you are a human, you have you are a soul, like break free. It's sad because he's being beaten while this is all happening. So yes, the emotional connection is there. You're right, I don't think it's much of a fight, but and again, was the reveal anything to brag about in the grand scheme of One Piece reveals? No, but for Chopper, this is a really good moment. We haven't had a really big emotional beat with Chopper for a very long time. So I appreciate this moment.
Top 5 moments in One Piece?
Maybe a top 5 for Chopper.
Really? Oh God.
Top 10 for Chopper.
I guess. Again, the emotional bit is like the closest I would agree to with Chopper. Because once you take away Chopper from this, it kind of falls apart a little bit. But they're trying to purify Sindri. It's not working too well. They do trick the zombie Zoro, the zombie versions of Zoro and Sanji to jump out the window by having Hogback tell them to jump out the window. So Hogback's not the brightest. You do get a little moment of Chopper this entire time was trying to get through to Sindri to try and get her to like remember who she used to be. And when Hogback is trying to order her around again, you kind of get this little moment where Sindri's body starts crying and is saying like, well, my body can't move, Dr. Hogback. I can't obey your orders at this time. Implying that what Chopper was saying to Sindri somehow awoke like the spirit of Sindri in her.
He got to her. Yeah, he got to her.
He did. So That's where the emotional bits are. At that point, Chopper's like, all right, let's get this over with. He tries to suplex Dr. Hogback. He literally tries to suplex him. I think Robin gives him like 3 stories worth of height so that Hogback can crack his neck and just be obliterated from this suplex. I'm like, Robin, I don't think any of that's necessary. This guy ain't rocking a double fruit. He ain't rocking hockey. I guess if you want to kill him, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do it, Robin. Go ahead.
They're ready.
They're ready. They're ready.
But of course, in good fashion.
In good fashion, this fight gets interrupted by more Oars and Gecko Moria shenanigans. Mind you, at this entire time, Luffy eventually did catch up to Gecko Moria. But Gecko Moria is just, he's toying with Luffy. He's not really fighting him. He's just running away, having his own shadow kind of fight Luffy and trick him.
His shadow is a really good defense.
It's a really good defense. And Luffy's just a mess in this. He can't fight someone that's not willing to fight back and is just clowning around.
He is definitely a clown.
He is. But at this point, that's when Oars is like really getting in everyone's way. Oars is finally like, all right, he's kind of like been in the background this entire time, just kind of doing his own Luffy shenanigans or whatever. But now it's like, all right, Gecko Moria is like, Oars, kill the damn pirates already. All right. And it's so funny because he has the wanted posters on his arm of who he's supposed to kill. And he looks at
Sanji's.
He looks at Sanji's, but it's not Sanji's face on the wanted poster. And you see him looking at Sanji and he's like, yeah, that's identical. They look nothing alike.
Oh goodness. He's Luffy still. He may be subservient to Moria at this point, but he's Luffy. And what? He starts making mince work, no?
Yeah,
Sanji gets in one good hit.
He beats up Sanji gets one good hit in, but Oars like slaps him away. I think Zoro got a hit in on his. Actually, Zoro did not get a hit.
Well, everybody at this point, so like Usopp fires off a shot to distract him. Frankie fires off a shot, and Oars is destroying everything.
Because they start to learn like Oars is not just a powerhouse; he's also very agile. Like
he's Luffy. He moves like Luffy.
Unnaturally agile. He is moving like Luffy.
Right.
And he's a monster. He's a literal monster. He is fighting off all the Straw Hats, just obliterating them. They take one hit from this guy, like they're on the floor. They are literally on the floor. It's difficult to put up any kind of fight against this guy.
And not to mention too, they are like all at different points around the castle, and he turns and he's able to, hit them.
Right. Right. It's
not looking good. It's not. Meanwhile, Absalom is alive and kidnaps Nami. He is
alive. Yes. Unfortunately. Do you want to explain this Nami bit?
Oh God, I don't even remember. So I'm looking at it now. She wakes up.
Lola's involved.
So what? They had made friends, Lola and
Lola and Sanji, Nami.
Lola and Nami had made friends because she told Lola that she's a man.
She's a man, baby.
And she had nothing to worry about.
Well, first she was telling her, I'm not trying to get married to Absalom. Lola doesn't believe that. And then so Nami's like, oh, okay, well, also I'm a dude. And she's like, oh, okay, I believe that. Want to be friends? And now they're friends.
Right. And Lola comes in. She makes it seem like she's about to fight Nami.
It's a fake out. Well, Nami wakes up. Nami wakes up from her her trance.
Right. She
whatever
wakes
was
up.
in.
Yeah. She wakes up. She ain't gonna marry, and whatnot. Then Lola barges in, pretends that she's here to take out Nami, but in reality, she's trying to help Nami. And Lola tells Absalom, this is a man, Absalom. You can't marry her. Gosh,
and Absalom's like, that's not true. I've seen her.
Yeah, he's like, what I saw in the shower, though. Goodness. First they say a man can't marry a man. And they have us remembering that he peeped in on her in the shower. God awful.
And this is the first time, she keeps trying to this is the first time Absalom like just straight up like retaliates against Lola's advances.
Oh, because he's so close to his grand prize.
He's so close. The entire time in this arc, he's just been doing this running away thing from Lola. Because she wants to marry him. He does not want to marry her. And finally it's like, Lola, that is enough. And he does his bazooka thing and he just straight up blasts her in the face. But of course, completely. But at this moment, Nami's not having that either. She kind of gets a moment here too. I like this bitch.
She gets a nice moment. She does.
She's like, I'm not running away. Lola's my friend. And right now she's hurt. I'm about to beat that ass. And she does.
Pulls out the climb attack, hits him with the thunderbolt charge or whatever the hell.
Right.
Swing arm, which was cool too. At this point, it's like a flail. She's like winding it up. Yeah. Get hit by the charge and the impact.
She could do
so go Nami.
With that.
Taking back. She had that terrible scene earlier in the arc. Now she's fighting for herself. Go Nami. Still a weirdo. Oda for making this a thing. But yeah.
But Sanji weakened him enough so that Nami could get the finishing blow.
Yes. It was nice to give Nami the finishing blow.
Right. Because she was at the center of all this. Sanji was just an outside factor saying, "Ooh, Nami Swan, don't let the Absalom marry you."
I'm so glad they never got to this arc.
I wish they did. I wish they did.
Nope.
Oh my goodness.
But of course, who comes to interrupt? Here comes Oars.
Look at Oars.
Come on, leftovers or whatever. But then he turns around. And they're like, don't be underestimating your crew's strength. All the Straw Hats are still kicking. They're ready to take this fight to Oars. And honestly, I forgot, anime wise, they did this really well. The Straw Hats versus Oars. It was quite the sight.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was just really good. Everybody pretty much had a little moment, except for I don't think Nami had a moment.
She just had her moment.
She just had her moment, right? But then also, you have what comes next.
This stupid docking
Hell
station.
No. This shit is fantastic.
Dumb.
No. You guys, Tactics 15. Chopper, we're using that?
And he knows already. This was already planned out.
They all know.
Yeah.
They planned this.
They did. And it's what the hell is how did you get Zoro to agree with this?
Time out. Have you seen this played out in the anime?
Played out in the anime? No.
Oh my, they do a whole Voltron Gundam transformation.
Oh, like Power Rangers?
It's so fucking funny. It is so good, Dr. J. Saturni. They do this whole bit. It's in these moments right here that the anime separates itself in its own greatness from the manga. It is so good. It is so good. I would say go watch it right now.
All right, carry from here.
Go watch it.
Let me go see.
the Pirates docking 6, and it's Frankie as the torso, Usopp as a weapon on the right arm, Chopper as the brains on the head.
I also just realized Sanji and Zoro did not agree to this. They literally ran up to them and said, "All right, hold up my feet because I'm about to run up to you." And they're like, "Huh?" And they just jump on their shoulders.
I'm telling you right now, they were ready. They were ready. They must have known this was coming. Is that what you're saying? I'm guessing. I don't know, but listen, go watch it. Go watch it. I got this.
Okay.
Just go watch it real quick.
This
hop
is
back
good.
On.
This is good.
Oh, you're watching it, so you see it.
I see Frankie just going in. Oh my God, his suit's coming up like a piece of armor.
Yes.
Okay.
They outdid themselves.
This was good. If I had seen it like this, I would have a different opinion.
It's incredible.
Hilarious.
It's fucking incredible. So yeah. But yeah,
I want to know how would it have worked? How would this have worked?
I'm telling you right now, we are going to see it again. We are going to see it again.
On Laugh Tale, we're
going to see it in the final saga. I promise you. They practice docking 6, and they're gonna. And guess what? Robin, who was like, "I am never going to be a part of this. I am too embarrassed." She's gonna join.
Finally,
and it will be complete.
Be the arm.
It'll be
the
complete.
Left arm.
It'll be complete. Yes.
Goodness.
Just you wait. I'm calling it now. You heard it here, folks. The return of docking 6. Which is actually called the Docking 6 Emperor Man, I think. Right. Big Emperor. We're gonna see it again. It's gonna be magnificent. But yeah, they put in work on Oars, man. They actually
right. Go ahead.
I mean, they're doing good. They got like again, this is freaking hilarious. Usopp's over here like pinning him down with like random. Oh, he's making him slip with oil. Zoro put the pillars on his swords and he's swinging them, you know. Sanji's kicking rocks at his head. And then, oh my God. The fact that, okay, so Frankie being the carpenter is up here building a fucking stairwell.
This is so like comedic. It's like, this is so dumb. I get he's the carpenter or he's the shipwright. This is so stupid. Why is he building like a Looney Tunes skit, like building the staircase to get to it was just dumb.
No, this is hilarious. I love it. And then Frankie and Chopper go in with the punch. And Sanji with the leg sweep. It's good stuff, man. And then it's like, he's a zombie. So it's like you do all this damage to him and he just keeps going, which sucks.
He does. He can't feel pain. So it's like, yeah, you can slap him around a little bit, because they're kind of building off each other's strengths. They're using, one character to like slip him up or disorient him, and then a heavy hitter to like actually land the blow. But this man, unless you're just cutting off his arm or his legs or his head, like you're not really doing anything to him. For now, you're not doing anything to him. So that fight's going on. It's really good. It's a really good fight with Oars. At the same time, you get a third party at this same time making his debut into the story. You get introduced to another warlord of the sea at this point, because Perona is like, she wakes up from the ass beating that she took from Usopp, and she's like, you know what? I'm out. I'm gone. I am leaving. I'm not dealing with this crap anymore. And she's heading off to her ship, and that's where she bumps into Bartholomew Kuma. And Kuma's a man of few words. He doesn't say a lot, kind of just keeps to himself. And I think, the first thing he asks is like, where's Gecko Mori? And you're like, who the hell is this?
Right.
What does this guy want? But Perona is just kind of confused at first. She's willing to like combat Kuma, but actually, I think she knows it's Kuma. She knows it's Kuma.
No, she doesn't know. Oh yeah, she does
Yes.
recognize him. She recognizes him.
The tyrant Bartholomew Kuma.
Right, and she's ready to put up a fight against them. And she sends some hollows at him. And she's like, "I'm gonna give you as a gift to Moria," and then she's gone in an instant.
Well, no, Kuma asked him, if you were to go on a vacation, where would you want to go? That's a trait. That's a question that he asked all these people that he makes disappear. And I feel like it's a shtick that he does. Because Kuma's a character shrouded in mystery, even to this day in One Piece. We know he's part of a faction before having joined the world government. But Kuma, it's like he has his own agenda in a way, even right now, because technically he should be killing Perona. She's a pirate. She is a literal pirate, and he's there to clean up any messes that Gecko Moria is not keeping track of. But when he asks that question, she literally gives him an answer. And it's like, oh, well, if you really want to know, I want to go to a dark, damp, ancient, and haunted castle. And it's like, oh, wow. Where she ends up going after this, right?
You do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know. Yep.
So, she tries attacking him, and then he just goes, poof.
And you're like, what just happened?
What just happened?
And he puts his glove back on.
Right.
Very
important. He does take off his gloves to do these things.
Whatever the hell he just did. Whatever the hell he just did.
He just made Perona disappear.
Right.
Nami is a witness to all of this, right? Because she's not involved in the Oars fight just yet. She's still kind of recovering from her fight with Absalom. And she has this brief little encounter with Kuma. And that's where he tells her, I'm one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Is it true? He asked her, is it true that Monkey D. Luffy has an older brother?
Right.
And she's like, yeah, you're talking about Ace. Like, what about it? And so she starts asking him questions like, what are you here for? And he's like, what I want is none of your concern. So goodbye. I'm going to go to the person that I was here to communicate with, which is Gecko Moria.
Mind you, he's moving extremely fast right now. Like,
right. It's like he's teleporting in a way, like instantly, like, because at one point he's on the dock where he made Perona disappear. Nami's up on like a second floor of like a gate. And then within an instant, Kuma is just right there next to her. And she has no idea how that happened. We have no idea how that happened.
Dude is scary.
He is very scary. Luffy, again, just getting tricked by Gecko Moria's shadow. This part was just getting dumb. It was getting dumb. Because, as the fight with Oars is going along, I think it was Usopp. It was someone that was bringing up, like, why are we fighting Oars to finish him off? Why are we fighting so hard to finish him off? We should only be fighting to buy Luffy time to beat Gecko Moria. Because once he beats Gecko Moria, all the shadows will come back. We should not be putting in this much effort to try and eliminate Oars, who is way beyond our league. And again, as we've said before, Zoro puts things into perspective. Zoro tells the crew, we are fighting this man because we all know Luffy is a jackass right now. Luffy is right now fighting someone that is likely tricking him and basically leading him in so many different directions. The time for Luffy to beat him before the sun comes up, because they're on a timer now too.
They are on a timer, right?
The sun is going to come up, and if it does, if you don't have your shadow, that's it. You're gone.
Isn't it also because Oars like move the rudder, so Thriller Bark is floating out of that ocean where all the fog
was that what
is.
it was?
Well, that's why the sun's coming, right? Because they're on the move.
Okay. Right.
Because normally it's always in that fog.
The Florian Triangle and the fog.
Right. That's why the sun is about to pierce through.
Right. I think that's the reason. I remember Oars did move the rudder of the ship.
I mean, the sun is coming. The sun is coming. It is a race against time.
Right. And Zoro basically tells them, Luffy is going to beat Gecko Moria, but the question is, when is he going to do it? In the chance that he does not beat him, before the sun comes up, at the very least, as his crew, we can defeat Oars so that Luffy can get his shadow back. He's gonna lose all of us because we're probably gonna die in that instant, but our captain, our pirate king, will continue on. Ain't that commitment? That's a first mate right there.
That's a first mate.
That's a first mate. Goodness.
What good is the greatest swordsman if he can't protect his captain?
Exactly. Oh man, it was so good.
Yeah. Very good.
So while Luffy is fighting this shadow with Gecko Moria, the shadow of Gecko Moria himself finally appears inside of Oars himself, kind of like a Gundam in a way.
Hold up. Not yet. Kuma and Moria have a conversation first.
Kuma and Moria. Oh, yes, that's right. Yes. Kuma and Moria have a conversation. Moria wants to know, why is Kuma here? And Kuma basically says, hey, Luffy, the Straw Hats are becoming a problem. They defeated one warlord already, which was Crocodile. They stormed Enies Lobby and escaped. And not only that, they made a declaration of war on the government. These pirates are like getting to the top of the list of the world's most wanted. Not there yet, but they are a growing pain. And now they're on another island, or I guess not an island, but like a ship, Thriller Bark, where another warlord is. And Gecko Moria is kind of like, what are you implying? What are you implying, Kuma? Are you saying the government is afraid that he's gonna kick my ass? And he's like, I didn't say that. I'm just here. If you need my help, just let me know. I am here to help. And of course, prideful Gecko Moria is just saying, nope, I don't need it. Just leave. Get out. I will bring the head of Straw Hat and throw it onto the floor of the Gorosei so that they know that this guy is not going to be, because again, Gecko Moria, a bounty of 320-ish million, he's technically really, really strong. Should be the strongest person that Luffy's fought so far. Should be in quotation marks. He isn't, but he should be. So I like this conversation that they had.
Ooh, you forgot something.
What, in the conversation?
Well, they are afraid that Straw Hats might defeat Moria.
Right.
But speaking of the Shichibukai, the warlord.
The
Shichibukai, he tells him the status of Crocodile's replacement.
Oh, yes, that's right. And who's his replacement?
Marshall D. Teacher.
I love this guy. He's fantastic.
Marshall D. Teach, and we learned that must be because the fight on that island, where we did not know the outcome between Ace versus Blackbeard, that must imply that Ace lost.
Right.
And
Right.
Blackbeard.
Did he say? Actually, no. He did. He didn't say anything yet about Impel Down.
No.
Yeah.
It's just implied that he must have lost.
Changes the course of the world.
Changes the course of the world. So it was worth noting. And then I think you nailed pretty much the rest of the conversation. Moria's gonna go ahead and take matters into his own hands. Yeah, I don't know how he appears in Oars' stomach.
They make it seem like he was almost always there.
Right.
It's weird. It's weird. Yeah, it was something where like I questioned it as well, but I just didn't care enough to be like, let me go back and see exactly how he appeared in Oars and stuff. Like I didn't care. I didn't care how he got in. He's there now. And if he's here, that means Luffy is clearly not doing his job because he's fighting something completely unrelated to Moria.
Mm-hmm.
Which, speaking of which, that is around the time. I think Gecko Moria calls back his shadow at this point. So now Luffy's like, well, damn, now I got to chase the shadow back. But that's where he encounters Lola's pirates, right?
Well, Moria is now attacking the Straw Hats, and Brook is joining the fray too. He's got a big bag of salt, and they're just trying to survive against Oars because now that he's operated by Moria, he's got some more, I guess, intelligence, and Oars is doing work. It's never looked good against Oars, but it's now looking bad. So yes, I think it is Lola's pirates.
Yeah, it is.
And they're like, hey, Straw Hat, we know the secret to how to beat Moria. So what happened? Did Lola get purified? Is that why she's back to human?
Yeah, she got purified at some point. I forgot when she got purified, but right, that her actually did she get purified?
She's human. She
is human. It is her human self. It is her human self that's right here talking to Luffy. I mean, honestly, all that matters at this point is, Lola's there. She kind of, her crew kind of gives Luffy the shtick of, you can absorb, like if you absorb another shadow, you can kind of gain its power to a certain degree.
Yes.
And they said something like, we can only absorb like one, and that's it, and that's a toll on our body. But you are Straw Hat Luffy, and you're stretchy. Quick, shove all these shadows down his throat. And Luffy's not agreeing to any of this, mind you. He's like, hey, what are you doing to me?
No, yeah, they're just like, enough is enough. We're going
home.
we're putting these things in you, and you're about to go. So you get this. You see from behind, Luffy now looking pretty big, and that's it. And then we go back to the Straw Hats. Right. Again, they're doing work on Oars, but he's just super powerful. And now Moria is shown. He now makes Oars like Luffy because he's manipulating the shadow to stretch.
That is just so insane. I don't know how the hell that works. If this was a real person, you must be snapping their bones and muscles apart to mimic the stretchiness of it.
Right.
But because it's a zombie, it's like, I mean, it doesn't feel pain in any way. So I guess it works. Works.
It works. Yeah, he's a zombie. So they're going in again. It's not looking good. Man, Robin is like doing some work on Moria right now, but his shadow is saving his life.
Right, because she keeps trying to get him in that clutch, the clutch, like trying to break his back. signature Robin move. Just snap
You
the
know,
neck. Snap.
this
the
is a
back.
really good. See, this is a really cool moment for Thriller Bark because what you have is all the Straw Hats trying to take down the main bad guy. That's never happened before. You know,
Really.
when have we ever seen them all team up to fight?
I guess
one
to
guy?
fight the single villain of the arc. Yeah, they never done it. They've never
This is
all
a
fought against Crocodile, Arlong. It's always been Captain, take out the bad guy, you fight him, and we'll take out his lackeys. So I guess in this instant, yeah, it's kind of unique in a way. They're all trying to fight technically the final villain, controlling another lackey that is like literally the strongest thing in the arc at this moment.
right. And I'm gonna tell you right now, and we skipped over a bunch. There's a lot of really cool team up moments for the Straw Hats
Yeah,
here.
that the team ups are definitely stuff. We would be here all day, like going on for the team ups. You guys need to either read it or watch it.
I highly implore people to go watch it. It is really cool to see some of these team moves play out, which we hardly ever see again. I'm telling you, they're coming back. They're coming back.
Oh, for sure. Because I think during this time, I think it's before Luffy makes his debut in this fight. Chopper comes to the conclusion that it's like he cannot feel pain. Oars cannot feel pain. We need to use that against him. And they're basically saying, the cold must be Chopper determines the cold must have been what killed Oars from before because, he was found frozen. So he is not invincible as much as we like to think he is. This is where you get a little bit of a gag because the reason why Oars dies, or at least according to Chopper, his hypothesis is Oars 500 years ago must have walked around naked in the cold and he froze to death. And that's it. And you have Sanji and Zoro saying, dude, we can't lose to this idiot. Are you kidding me? Like, they're not having it. They're not having it.
Right.
Um,
And I mean,
yeah.
great theory and all, but they are counting down how many Straw Hats are left.
Right.
And I think it's the last one standing are Nami and Usopp.
The ones that
After,
God,
yeah, the ones who aren't going to do much at all.
they're not.
And Usopp's about to get stomped on. And you think Usopp's ate it, and then you hear like, hey, what are you trying to step on? There's nothing under your foot. And they're like, what? What's that? And it's this big blue hulking figure.
Monkey D Luffy. Is that how he makes his entrance in the
I
anime?
think so. Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's just like that. He rescued Nami and Usopp, and it's like, okay, Luffy, big and blue. Please do some work on this guy because it's like not looking good at all. And it's Nightmare Luffy.
Blue skin.
Blue skin.
Hair's kind of spiked up a little bit. And
bags all around his eyes.
He loses the eyebrows. That's pretty much it. He's super powerful. He also has a giant sword on his back because one of the shadows he absorbed was a sword master. So this is one of the only moment in the series where Luffy is prominent with a sword. In case people really wanted a follow up to when he whose swords were they in Arlong Park? He like grabbed the sword and tried cutting Arlong with the swords.
Who? Not Johnny and Yusaku. I don't know.
No, I don't know whose swords he picked up, but in Arlong Park, Luffy picked up swords and he just started like swinging, like just wildly swinging them to try and cut Arlong. And Arlong commented saying, this is stupid. Like, you're just swinging like a madman. There's no technique in what you're doing. But I think he was emphasizing, I am not a swordsman. I'm not a cook. I'm not a navigator. I'm terrible at all these things. That's why I have crewmates that cover me on that. So I guess people really were like, oh man, I want to see Swordman Luffy again. Here you go. Here's Swordman Luffy.
I mean, does he use the sword?
Time.
I don't think he uses the sword.
He uses the sword. He uses the sword. He uses it as a gag when they first put that shadow in him, so that you could see.
Yes, he did use it at that point, but
right, he used it
against Oars. Does he use it against Oars?
He uses it against Oars. At first, it's just.
Oh, I see it. Okay, I see it.
At first, you realize Luffy is clearly like overpowerful. Like he is in a league of his own against Oars.
He is OP right now.
He is very OP. He has I think 100 shadows in him, and he just straight up blocks a punch from Oars. He stops the momentum. He stops a Gomu Gomu no rifle straight at him and doesn't even flinch.
When everybody else was getting wrecked by one punch or kick from Oars, right? And Luffy's on another level right now.
And he slugs this guy in the face and he sends him flying. That's how you know the tide has shifted. He just starts going in on Oars. It's very satisfying to see the battle continue.
He says there's only one Luffy around here, and that was great to hear.
Right.
Yeah, he just starts going in, and it's crazy. Never once does Nightmare Luffy lose any bit of that fight.
Oh yeah, there was not a single moment. There was clearly, if Nightmare Luffy could have been sustained for a lot longer, that fight was Luffy's 100%. There's a scene where he's literally, it almost reminds me of how cartoony Luffy is being in a way.
No, because he starts doing the
back and forth slam.
Yes, the back and forth. Yes,
straight up.
Very cartoony. Very cartoony.
It blows my mind. It blows my mind. And then he does the whole spinning around and about to fling him. Very, very cartoony.
Very interesting. You mentioned how cartoony it is.
It is. At the same time, he's trying to he's damaging Oars, but at the same time, he's also trying to damage Moria because that's
take out Moria. Right. Stops the whole thing.
It stops the whole thing.
And everybody gets their shadows back.
Everyone gets their shadows back. He's launching Gomu Gomu no pistols, landing it on Moria, Gomu Gomu no bullets, and like you said earlier, there was a slash where he pulls out the sword, slashes one time. All right, there we go. Swordman Luffy. Everyone was hyping him up for it. And then he does Gomu Gomu no Storm. And you think this is it. You're like, all right, this is Nightmare Luffy, Gomu Gomu no Storm, the same move that knocked out Crocodile, the same move. And it's like, all right, this is another warlord, so this should knock these guys out. It puts Oars on his back. The Nightmare, well, at this point, the timer is done. The shadows escape from Luffy. And they think the battle is won. Thriller Bark has fallen. Gecko Moria's unconscious. He's he's out of it. You think he's done? Or stands right back up.
He's a zombie. He doesn't feel pain.
It's oh my goodness. And you feel it because at this point, Lola's crew is now part of the Straw Hats trying to fight back against Moria and Oars. So they're the ones kind of reacting oh my Jesus Christ. How do we beat this guy?
Well,
we are so scared.
Well, they took a note from Chopper and they start they heard him. They listened. Nami starts doing rain tempo. All the Straw Hats are back up again. Resoundingly, they all stand up again.
Right.
Rain tempo. Meanwhile, Usopp and Frankie made a vent
I swear, I'm glad Frankie stopped doing this. This is so dumb.
What this shipwright
This weird crap where it's like, let me build a contraption in like a couple seconds so that it can help with the plot. It's just, God, just
it works. It works. Everyone's doing a job. Everyone's like trying to pin Oars down. And this is really good too. This is really, I think this was really nice.
This was really good.
Because again, everybody teamed up earlier to fight this dude, but Luffy wasn't there. So now Luffy is here proper. I think Brook carries him to the top, runs him up to the top of the thing and like throws him down, and Goma no giant
Gear Turtle,
giant bazooka. And
wait, do you know what the logic was and what they were trying to do?
Break his spine,
straighten his spine for the maximum impact. You did not build this up.
Oh, sorry.
So this is building off.
I thought they were just trying to freeze him again.
No. Well, part of it, right, was the whole freezing aspect. They know he's weak to being frozen, but their whole point, Chopper was saying, like, this guy cannot feel pain, and we're gonna use that against him. They managed to immobilize his arm because it was just so destroyed from all the damage it took. But Oars didn't know that because he can't feel pain. So when he needs to use that arm, he can't move it. It's done. And Chopper's like, you see, I told you so. So then everything else that everyone's doing, holding him in place, making him like suck in his stomach and expel all the air out, where like Sanji's like wrapping the chain from Thriller Bark around him. It was so elaborate what they did to him, all for the sole goal of straighten this man's spine, because a spine is naturally curved to absorb impact. And so when Luffy is coming down with Gear Thirdo, Gomu no Bazooka, he just obliterates Oars' spine, just shatters it, destroys it. I love that. I loved this scene. It was so good. It was so good.
Thriller Bark.
Second half of Thriller Bark.
Thriller Bark set up.
I'm emphasizing. But Luffy destroys him. Like, you literally get a shot of all the vertebrae in Oars' spine just shattering. And that's when you know, at the very least, Oars is done. There's no way. He can't move. He can't move. What is he gonna do? He cannot move. At that point, you know, you can't you think the fight is over because it's like, okay, you had Gomu no Storm with Nightmare Luffy, you had Gear Thirdo, Bazooka onto Oars. It has to be over. Nope, Gecko Moria gets back up. This is what the entire arc is. People just getting back up.
I mean, to be fair, he only had one really good punch from Nightmare Luffy.
He had a punch from Nightmare Luffy, and the storm, the Gomu no Storm was.
Did he get hit by some of the storm? He got hit by some of the storm.
He got hit by some of the storm. Got hit by some of the storm. But this is Moria's final trump card. He's like, all right, I lost Oars. I'm gonna kill all of you now.
I'm gonna do it myself. Yeah.
Shadows Asgard.
Right.
Oh, the meme. I guess
Thanos. Right.
Literally, he puts on the Infinity Gauntlet in this scene, and he just absorbs all the shadows on Thriller Bark. That's when everyone loses their shadows. All the zombies, all the zombie generals, just everyone. And, you know, Moria basically tells Luffy, like, oh, well, you saw what you could do with 100 shadows. What would you do
have
if
1,000?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he just becomes this giant monstrosity. Did you like this final boss? Did it feel like a Final Fantasy villain in some way?
Yeah, because Luffy just realizes that, it's not about like beating this guy to a pulp. The sun's coming up. I need him to spit up these freaking shadows, you know? So he goes gear second and he's like, I'm gonna make this guy throw up. I'm gonna make this guy puke these shadows out.
Because he's already having trouble holding them in too. Like before he even gets struck, he's kind of like saying, "Oh, my tummy full."
Right, because Luffy is rubber. He can stretch, and he makes it a point of that, to say that. And that's why Moria can't contain all the shadows. So like he gets a good couple of hits in, and then he's like, you're gonna give back everybody's shadows. He does great combination between, like, I guess he goes gear second and he's doing some hits, and then I guess it's not a combination, but I think this is like the start. This is early stages of him combining the gears in a sense, because gear 4 is kind of a mixture of the previous gears at points.
So what does he do here?
He does gear third and he does balloon. But then he, contorts and does like a rocket, and it's gum shell, I believe.
Okay, right.
And that makes him puke up all the shadows.
Well, right before the shadow puking, you get kind of a cool moment with Lola and the rest of her crew, because this entire time against this fight with Moria and Oars, they've been saying like, we gotta run away. And like every time Oars got the upper hand, they would say it's time to run. And it's funny because every time that happened, Luffy and his crew would get back up and continue the fight. And then at the point when it was now Moria with all these shadows that he absorbed, Lola and her crew is basically saying, let's run away. We have to run away. There's nothing that we can do to beat this guy. And Lola is like, hold up. Y'all are wild for this. Because every single time in this fight that Oars and Moria got the upper hand, not once did the crew or Luffy just all of a sudden give up and start backing up and thinking like, oh, we got to run away from this. There's no way. Every time, no matter what trump card these characters pulled, Moria and Oars, the confidence in defeating these villains never left the crew.
Right.
And Lola made that a point to be like, I'm not leaving. And her crew saying, Lola, we got to go. You're going to burn in the sun. And she's like, I don't care. We're helping them. A great Lola moment. You need this. Because she's important much later in the story.
I agree. She is. She has very strong familial ties. They will play heavy later. But here, what? They stay. They watch Luffy defeat Moria.
Gomu Gomu no Shell.
Meanwhile, a very cool scene of they are disappearing. People without shadows, they are disappearing. Like half
including
their body,
the crew, including
the crew.
Hats.
Zoro, Sanji, and Robin are all like literally disappearing.
They are.
And it's a very cool shot, and you literally see they make it. I think they zoom out to some people in some far off island.
All the shadows go back to their original owners. You get random pirates that are somewhere on the Grand Line. They get their shadows back. You also get the maid that we mentioned earlier. The maid that gets her shadow back. The one that didn't like plates. That was in Sindri.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You get a scene with her where her shadow comes back. Yeah, just that building crumbled down. It slammed on Moria, and that made him puke up all the shadows. And now they all returned to their rightful owners, and Moria is gone. Or, he's out. He's out for the count. They defeated another warlord of the sea.
Another warlord, yeah. They are doing work.
They are doing work. So, right after that is basically everyone just kind of recuperating from what just happened. You have Hogback, who was supposedly dead because they thought Oars stepped on him. He's alive, thank God for Dr. Hogback, hooray. He's basically trying to escape the island with Absalom, and he's like, hey, Absalom, come with me. Gecko Moria got his ass kicked. Let's go. Let's leave. We're done here. And I think they actually take Gecko Moria's body too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I mean, Gecko Moria definitely, we see him again. He might have lost, but he's not
out of the story. He's not out of the story yet.
He does not lose his status.
He does not lose his status. Because I think the events on this island were very hush hush, very much, yeah. I don't think they broke this was not world news. Right. It's not public knowledge. Obviously, the government would know that Gecko Moria got his ass beat, but no one else in the world would know. So Gecko Moria could still keep his status.
Right.
But yeah, Lola and the crew, they're grateful to Luffy and the gang for what they did for them. And at this point, Nami is starting to remember, oh my God, we're kind of like recuperating right now, but
she hasn't even told them all.
She hasn't. About Bartholomew Kuma,
who literally shows up like right there.
He's right there. He's like, oh my God, there he is. Bam. And he's talking to like on a transponder snail to obviously some other government official. And they basically tell him what we were just saying. We cannot let the news of this incident leak out into the world. And there must be
Triads cannot keep building a name for themselves.
They are a problem. The government knows this. You can't be going around island to island beating these heavy hitters. Like, no, you cannot do that. So they tell Bartholomew Kuma there can be no witnesses of the Thriller Bark incident. Make them disappear. The world government commands it. And he's like, all right, cool. I'll do that. This is like one of the few times in the story, at least this far in One Piece, where they encounter another force that is just as deadly as the one that they just defeated, but right now they're in recuperation mode. They're not fighting another warlord right now, but here, full HP warlord.
Full HP, full MP, full special attack, full everything.
You already used all your potions, your ethers, your elixirs. It's done. I mean, at this point, I was like, I don't know how they're beating him. Unless Kuma outright says, I don't feel like it, and leaves, he's killing them. There's no way. He's killing them. It's just funny because, you see some techniques from Kuma. He does, again, some of that teleportation stuff. You start seeing the book that he carries around. It's titled as a Bible. You don't know what's in the Bible.
It's a Bible.
To what extent is it a Bible? We don't know. But he's making mincemeat of all the Lola's crewmates that are trying to get in the way. You see these paw prints that are going right through the characters, and you don't understand like what exactly is going on. But then that's when Kuma basically reveals, I am a paw man. I ate
Whatever
the paw.
Fuck that means.
Obviously, it means that he can reflect things and send you to different places and
repel. He can repel anything.
Anything. So, of course, when Zoro tries cutting him, he just blocks the slash, and he bounces it back. He can repel it back at the user.
Or just repel it anywhere. He can repel it anywhere.
Right. And it's funny because this entire time, Kuma is not like, because when you think about it, all the warlords up until this point, they kind of have like this maniacal cynicism to themselves. They'll say like, oh wow, you're so weak, I'm gonna conquer the world, or I'm gonna conquer this kingdom. Like, you know, your Crocodile, your Gecko Moria. Kuma is just silent for most of the fight, and he's just talking smack to like some of these, like he encounters Zoro and he's like, oh yeah, you're the popular one in the crew. I knew Straw Hat had several underlings who were not without talent, so you must be one of the few that do have talent.
He is just a dog of the government. He's just got no qualms about who he's going up against. Right, he's over here talking shit, you know, and he says that what you just said to Zoro, and then at Usopp he's like, the king of the snipers. As much as your name is interesting, because you're a weekend, I dare not take care of you right now. Or
he says that in the anime?
Yes, yeah. No, he says it in the manga.
Oh, he says it in the manga. Okay.
I mean, he says it in both, but it's like, we get it, man. You're powerful, but you don't have to knock us down a couple of pegs.
Yeah.
He don't care. There's not. He's emotionless too. You know,
right? No expressions, no smiles, no anger either. He's not angry. He's not malicious. He's just, I'm here to take you guys
robotic.
out.
Very
robotic.
Very robotic. Yeah.
And that'll come into play.
Yeah, I actually had a few theories about this particular part. When I was watching it, I thought he was like a robot that had like multiple things. And then when he said he ate a devil fruit, I was like, well, there's no way the devil fruit's doing teleporting people and repelling things from like it at any spot, or like when he did to Zoro. So I was like, there's gotta be something up with this guy. And just like his faceless expression and him coming last minute, definitely up something. Like he's gotta be made up of like more than one thing.
No, I agree. Kuma is a man just shrouded in mystery. Like, I want to know everything about this guy. He's got something more going on than just a devil fruit, for sure. He obviously does, because we get a reveal of it in this segment when he's fighting
Zoro.
Zoro.
Well, he makes that bomb. And he like incapacitates everybody. Everybody's out. And then he starts going.
He makes a bomb?
He makes a bomb with the air pressure. He like repels.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Ursus shock.
Right.
And he makes that bomb, incapacitates everybody. Then he starts going for Luffy. And out comes Zoro with Lion Strike. And he cuts clean. And it shows his shoulder, his left shoulder, and it has this mechanical implant right where the joint should be. And he's like, what are you? Are you a cyborg? He's like, no, not a cyborg like Frankie. I am what's called a pacifista.
Opens his mouth. I love that scene because he does it immediately.
Like, what the fuck is this guy?
What is this? Like, what the hell is going on?
Nappa has just joined the fight.
Like, it's literally Nappa. It is literally Nappa. Also, just to show the durability of this guy, I don't think we've ever really seen this before with Sanji. Before he does that Ursa shock technique, Sanji tries kicking him in the face. And Sanji's leg is destroyed when he tries kicking him. And Kuma's like, black leg Sanji, I expected more. And it's like, oh my goodness, that Sanji, to my knowledge, has never flinched from kicking someone anywhere. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, he's never been like, oh my God, that hurt my foot so bad. I can't kick this guy. He's kicks Kuma.
Giant robot.
What is he made of? Like, I would think Sanji kicking someone like Frankie's gonna feel it, and he's gonna send Frankie flying likely. But he kicks Kuma, and Kuma doesn't feel anything, and it hurts. It hurts Sanji. I think that's the biggest thing. That whatever this dude is made of, it is a way stronger material than what Sanji's capable of right now. And that's their third strongest Straw Hat on the crew.
This is just such an overall great moment because, you know, they had those great moments against Oars. Luffy comes and saves the day, and they do it together. And then immediately right after, Oda reminds you, they are still very weak in the grand scheme of everything. They might have beat Gecko Moria, but there's
a world out there.
Right.
And this was one guy. Guy.
He's not the strongest character in the mythos. He's just a warlord. There's probably stronger warlords than him.
Exactly. Like, you got to be ready for war. Yeah, you got to be ready for war with these guys. Like, if you can't take one, sorry. Try again.
Goodbye.
He's a very humbling author. He's like, yo, just because they won doesn't mean like they're that great. Like, let me remind you real quick what the Straw Hats are really dealing with here. Okay.
A single move.
Just a single move
obliterates everyone. Everyone's unconscious. Well, Luffy's already unconscious from his fight with Gecko Moria, but everyone's like out. They're gone. Yeah, Kuma goes up to Luffy, and this is it. He's like, all right, I'm gonna take my prize. Here we go. Zoro, Lion Song. Oh man, dude, Zoro's so cool. I love it. Zoro comes in with the one sword style and actually makes we mentioned it earlier. That's when he slices his arm and realizes that Kuma's a robot. But yeah, after all of that, I think is this around the time after he starts shooting more beams at him? He drops the Vegapunk reveal.
Yeah, he reveals Dr. Vegapunk was the one who enhanced me. And that he's like 500 years ahead of his time. And he's like, so listen, he's like, yo, don't take Luffy. I will give myself up before I let you take Luffy. Take my head. The head that would be the greatest swordsman in the world,
Right.
And he he pauses and he's contemplating. Sanji comes up and he's like, hey, like, don't be a dummy. We got to fight this guy. We're not letting anyone in our crew be taken. Come on, let's do this, Zoro. And
well, Sanji doesn't say it to fight him. He doesn't say to fight him. He says take my head instead. Sanji knows that
sacrifice. Yeah. Right.
And I think that's important because one could just say it's, pride from Sanji saying, no, I'm not going to let someone else sacrifice himself. Take me instead. One could say it's foreshadowing of Sanji knowing who he is and knowing what the government would want with someone like Sanji, saying, oh, please, Zoro, Kuma, just take me. I will be a prize. Just take me right now. But of course, Zoro doesn't let him, go through with that offer. He knocks out Sanji. He's like, get out of here. You ain't taking my moment to shine.
It ain't about a moment. Zoro is going to take, he's doing this for Luffy, but he's doing this for everybody. Zoro's going to defend that whole entire crew with his life. And I think his resilience is impressive enough to Kuma. So he says, I'll show you hell. And he repels all of Luffy's pain in this pink paw-shaped bubble. And goodness.
And what is it? Oh, it's all of Luffy's pain and damage that he suffered in this fight.
Right. And I forgot he did this. He gives him a little piece.
He's like, here, have a taste. Have a taste. And then what?
Which is crazy because I didn't think Luffy got that beaten.
I think it's just a combination of everything that happened. Like, we know that the gear system at this point in the story takes a heavy toll on his body. Okay. Couple that with the nightmare system was not something easy for his body to go through. The nightmare Luffy transformation.
Sure. All right. If that's the case, then fine. Because I was like, Luffy did work. But yes, it was pain and fatigue. So
right. And he gave him a taste, and Zoro felt it, and it was insane. It was insane. And the guy's like, Jesus Christ.
Like, he's on the floor. He's on the floor after a taste.
He's on the floor. And Kuma asks him, like, so you still want to do this? And Zoro's like, just let me change the location, please. And Zoro just takes the bubble. He goes off into the woods by himself. And he jumps into that thing. Well, he doesn't jump into it, but he just
puts both hands head first.
Right. And he takes it. He takes all of it. And Kuma comments to himself, like, away from that area. He's like, you have exceptional friends. He's your son after all, Dragon. And it's like, oh my God, he knows Dragon? What?
Yes, a personal level. That's a personal level response.
Very personal. Very personal. That was insane. I enjoyed that piece.
Oh, for sure. Then you get like the aftermath. Everybody wakes up. Luffy is like, has the most energy out of everybody. He has no idea what just happened, And Sanji goes to check on Zoro because he's like, where did he go?
Because he remembers.
But he thinks he might be dead.
Right.
And he's like, wait, where's the warlord? Where's the Shikubo guy? There's so much blood. Hey, are you alive? What happened here?
Zoro just standing.
Yeah, and he's like, all this blood. And he's like, what happened here? And what does Zoro say?
Nothing at all.
Mind you, Overtaken is playing. It's like bump, 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 bump. Nothing.
Oh man, bump, did they really play that in the anime?
I'm positive they played.
They did. They definitely did that.
Oh, I'm glad they did not. That is a misplaced moment to play.
No, it is not. What are you talking about?
I like the silence. I kind of like just the silence of like him saying nothing. Like I don't know. I feel like playing the bum 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 bum. Like I don't know. It kind of takes I don't know. For me, there's a time and a place to use that theme. Usually, I associate it with like like the squad walking up on the castle or the up against the final villains. Not this. Like this is a badass scene. I think serves its purpose in complete silence.
Okay. They do play a theme. I don't know the name of this theme, but it's a good theme. I don't. It's not overtaken, but it's
Thank God. Thank God
it's
it's not.
still a theme. They still play a theme with like
It-
horns and whatnot.
I can maybe accept a theme. I would need to just go and listen to it, but good God, not the other one. Please, no.
It would have been fine. It would have been fine.
Absolutely not.
It does not
But
take away from the scene at all.
completely. But either way, Zoro, again, a top, I would say top 3. This is a top 3 moment for Zoro.
Yeah, definitely top 3.
Willing to take on his captain's pain and not even take any credit involved with that. Speaks volumes to his character. What else happens? I mean, most of the rest of the chapter is just aftermath.
This the aftermath. They kind of rejoice in the defeat of Gecko Moria, the returning of the shadows.
Gecko Moria is escaping with Hogback and Absalom, and Absalom's reading the paper, and that's where they discover that Ace is got sent to Impel Down, and they're awaiting his execution.
Wait, who reads that paper?
Absalom.
Oh,
yes.
Tough news.
Tough news indeed.
Because that does not reach the Straw Hats for a good while.
For a good while indeed. And then Zoro's unconscious, but Sanji, it's funny because no one knows why Zoro's like just out of it. He was at death's door, and there are these 2 pirates from Lola's crew, and that the Straw Hats are saying, "Yo, what happened to Zoro? Like, why is he like this?" You have these 2 no-names from Lola's crew saying, "We know what happened. Oh my God, it was so cool. It was so badass." Sanji just grabs them and like takes them to the side. Sanji doesn't know what happened because Zoro obviously said nothing happened. And Sanji just he asked the guys like, "Hey, what happened? Tell me exactly what happened, because I lost consciousness because of that guy." Once he told him all that stuff, they said, "All right, so we're gonna tell the rest of the crew, right?" And Sanji's like, "Absolutely not. Like, and his primary reason is, imagine how Luffy would feel knowing that the pain that he endured was instead inflicted on one of his crewmates,
right?
Like Zoro." And of course, that makes those 2 crew members like tear up. They're like, "Oh man, you guys are so cool. What a lucky captain that you guys have." Funny enough, Robin is hearing this. She's using her devil fruit ear to eavesdrop on what's going on. There's a good portion of the crew that knows what happens.
Yes.
Sanji knows, Robin knows, and I think Brooke knows.
Brooke knows. Yeah, Brooke knows.
Brooke knows
what's yeah.
So it's a weight and a price that was paid that is felt with some members of the crew. Not everyone knows about it, but they don't need to know about it. I think it's good that some crew members recognize what Zoro did for them. So, but yeah, aside from that, they kind of have their celebratory meal, and in the middle of this is where we get some greatness with Brooke. Grandmaster, I'm gonna let you carry it from here. What does Brooke reveal and discuss in this segment?
Well, what he starts playing music, and it's Big Sake,
Glorious Peace,
Big Sprue. Everyone's partying, having a good time. Luffy comes over and he's like, "Hey, I know this song. Shanks' crew used to sing it." And he's like, "Oh, all pirates used to sing it, good and bad." And Luffy reminds him, he's like, "So are you gonna become part of my crew now? You have your shadow. We got your shadow back. You can sail into the sun." He's like, I still have my promise to keep to Laboon. I could not stand tall if I do not make that promise. I'll fulfill it and visit him 50 years ago. And then Luffy reveals to him that we know Laboon and he's still there. And we would be delighted to help you see him again. Because, you know, we're friends with Laboon. And he's like, we would love to help you fulfill your dream. And oh gosh, Brooke is like asking about Laboon and he's still waiting for us. Is he doing well? Is he big? Luffy's like a mountain. And like Brooke remembers him as like a baby, and he just breaks down after hearing that Laboon is still waiting and doing well. And it's so oh gosh. And so we get the flashback of the crew, the York pirates, I think, under Captain York. And
yeah,
you know, they play music for Laboon. Everybody's an instrumentalist on this crew.
they're musician pirates.
They're musicians, yes. And Laboon is singing with them. But they have to leave Laboon. They have to leave him. And what they visit him again until I guess he follows them. He follows them. And then
they follow him, and then they follow him all the way up to the Grand Line entrance on Reverse Mountain.
So he's like literally a crew member.
He's literally a crew member. He likes their music.
Right.
And he tells them, you know, hey, or Brooke tells Laboon, or I think the captain sends Brooke to tell him, because like, hey,
to tell him, yeah.
Laboon understands you a lot more. You go tell him. And so Brooke tells Laboon, hey, we're heading into dangerous waters. Wait here. We'll be back in a year or two. I promise. 50 years later, no text back. No call back. Nothing. Brooke never comes back. Well, I mean, obviously they go into the Grand Line and they encounter the Grand Line. It's a waters filled with dangerous pirates. And so the anime might have done this differently. We talked about it a little bit earlier. But in the manga, first the captain, he contracts like some very terminal disease, right? Captain York or Captain Yorkie, whichever. So they end up sending him, you know, back across the comm belt so that he can get the medication he needs. I don't think they ever learned the fate of Captain York. They just hope that he made it, because they had to send him away. Because I think the disease he had was contagious in a way. Oh, no. You want to know what it was? They went to Little Garden. They sailed to Little Garden because they mentioned, oh, yeah, we went to that prehistoric island and we caught something over there. He caught the fever that Nami caught. So yeah, they did not have any remedy for that. So, I mean, if Dr. Kureha is anything to go by from how she assessed Nami, Captain York likely died going back through the comm belt, if not from just sailing through the comm belt, just from his illness, because there was not going to be any medicine or cure for what he caught from Little Garden, wherever he went. So Captain York's fate is sealed. He's dead, basically, as soon as he leaves. So now Brooke is in charge of the crew. And I don't know if the anime did it differently, but in the manga, they encounter some pirates that they do battle with. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure that happens, yeah.
And the pirates had poison tipped on their weaponry. So like their blades, their spears, all that stuff. And they just annihilated Brooks and his crew. I don't even know if it's confirmed if they even beat the other pirates. I don't know if the pirates just ran away or if Brooks's team won, but those pirates still did a number on them before they died. Either way, Brooks is done.
Well, it's oh God, it's a heartbreaking scene because they're literally their last thing they do together is they play Bink Sake, and you watch them one by one as they're playing just fall to the ground until the only one left is Brooke.
Wait, what about the scene when it's just the four of them? It's just four musicians including Brooke left, remember? And then he's like oh wow, because everyone's dropping like you said until there's only four of them left, and he's like, oh wow, I didn't know we were doing a quartet all of a sudden, because Brooks is playing the piano during quartet. This whole thing.
Let's do a quintet. Oh, a quartet. And then what?
Trio. He's like, oh, I guess we're down to they're dropping one by one, smiling as they're playing their instruments for the last time. And
a duet.
A duet. The last one drops, and Brooke is just bawling. He's like, a solo. And also, during this bit, they don't really show him ever eat his devil fruit. They just imply like, yeah, he ate the devil fruit. He'll come back to life at some point. So you better keep Laboon's promise, Brooke, when you come back. And it's done so well. Because when Brooks is playing, right, he's playing his song, and towards the end of it, it goes down from, quartet to trio, and then to duet, and then, solo. And it's at that point, obviously they're recording the song too. He has
the playback show, whatever
the playback show, right? And they're recording it for Laboon for this sole purpose. And it's just watch the anime's version of this. This scene is done so well because the song is playing when he's the last one left on the ship, and you hear the music because he is going to die, and then all of a sudden there's silence because the camera's panning away from the ship as you hear the music playing. So when the music goes silent, Brooks is dead. He died in that moment. It was fantastic. I loved this backstory of Brooke, and the song Binks's Sake or Binks's Brew that plays in this. This is a really good bit of trivia. Oda basically got in contact with an anime producer, or I'm sorry, an anime composer.
You said this last week too.
Did I?
You did.
I thought I only told you.
No, you told.
Okay. I won't repeat it again. Go check out part 1.
Oda's the GOAT. How about that?
Oda's the GOAT.
He knew what he wanted years ahead of time.
And there you go. Luke. And then you get it from Brooks himself saying, I'm glad I lived, man. Luffy, can I join your crew? Okay. That's it. Bam, new crew member. 1 arc away from Frankie. Let's go. I love it.
It's beautiful.
This was nice.
It's wonderful. And yeah, I think Thriller Bark closes with that, and we get a quick flash forward to how Laboon is doing, and he seems to be in high spirit because this stuff just trickles throughout the seas. Everybody feels it,
right?
But also very nicely, they build a shrine for the Roombar pirates, Chopper, Frankie, and Usopp.
How nice of them.
So nice. Just, it's very romantic. Again, it's like, again, pirates naturally are built to be villains. These are not, but piracy is freedom. It's what you do with that freedom that defines you. And the Straw Hats are good people. And they're
Very good
genuine. They're very kind. So yeah, Brooke joins the crew. Before they leave, you know, Nami and Lola formed a friendship. So she wants to give her a Vivere card. And we get another little brief explanation about, you know, Vivere cards and, you know, people's life and whatnot, life force, and how it can always help you, you know, lead to them and whatnot. And Luffy remembers he has a Vivere card. Or at least Nami points it out that, yeah, you definitely have one from Ace.
Don't you have something very similar from Ace? Because I don't think they understood what Vivere cards were yet at this point. Ace gave him the Vivere card from Alabasta
and said, like, what? Don't lose this.
Yeah, he's like, don't lose this piece of paper. It'll bring us back together. But Ace didn't explain the logistics of it and how it worked. So Lola's here explaining exactly how Vivere cards work, and Nami's like, wait, Luffy, don't you have something very similar that Ace gave you? And he's like, oh yeah, my lucky hat. And he takes off his hat and he sees that his paper is a sizzling. His Vivere card is burning, and that's
which
not
symbolizes
a good sign.
That the person is fading.
Exactly. And
this cannot be good.
It cannot be good, and it's a testament for the things to come in One Piece. But I think in terms of the story, we can wrap it up there because that's technically the end of Thriller Bark.
Yeah, I think it's a really good place to end it. Yeah.
Right after, they just sail away and they're on to their next adventure. I would say, like, let's wrap it up here with final thoughts on Thriller Bark. You know, what do you think about it? Do you really think it's so good from beginning to end? Or more rationally, does it have good moments?
I think Thriller Bark is littered with great moments. I think sometimes it is slower at parts, and some parts the payoff is not really as great in comparison. But as a whole, I think Thriller Bark is a lot of fun. I think it's a great crew arc. It is a great arc for the crew. Like I said, the Straw Hats versus Oars was fantastic to watch. The defeat of Moria, fantastic. And I believe the introduction to Brooke is fantastic. Yes, are there parts that don't work? Absalom does not work. Hogback does not work. But
Sindri does not work.
I think Sindri works more than Hogback and Absalom. But yeah, I'm not saying Thriller Bark is without flaw, but I do recognize Thriller Bark is definitely, I don't think should be overlooked. I really enjoy Thriller Bark.
I think it is one of the more enjoyable One Piece arcs, despite its rough beginning. You know, this is one of those arcs that people are kind of divided on between if there's a top three, and again, this is in no particular order. If you're gonna go top three, most divisive arcs is gonna be Skypiea, Foxy Pirates, and Thriller Bark. Clearly, Foxy Pirates is unanimous. Like, no one likes it. There's no one on the other side of the fence saying, well, actually, Foxy Pirates is quite enjoyable when you look at it from this lens. No.
Well, actually, Foxy, I'm kidding.
Well, okay. Of course.
I was going to say, Thriller Bark, like, I think a lot of people might not like it because it doesn't. I mean, like Luffy does display his own talent, but the way he like takes all the souls and then just like I guess like the different things he did in here, it didn't feel like he displayed like so much of his like talent. It just looked like he got their ass whooped for a moment, but. And if you're not into like spooky stuff, that also can be kind of like a arc for you. Like I like Halloween, but like to be stuck in a Halloween arc for so long can be a little drag. But I can see like why people have like a problem with it because it's not like this big growth moment for Luffy. Like it's not like he came out of this battle super strong. At least we couldn't tell because of this like what's about to come, but. Yeah, I guess I can see why people don't like it. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was, but it could feel a little dragged out sometimes.
Right. Yeah. It has moments where you kind of want the plot to pick up the pace, and like I like Halloween too, but if you're not sucked into the theme that is Thriller Bark, which is the spooky stuff, you're gonna have a rough time for the 5 volumes that Thriller Bark covers. Not really a long arc. It's not. It is definitely one of the shorter arcs in One Piece, but still 5 volumes is nothing to scoff at. It is 5 volumes of content where you're like, Jesus, it's straight up Halloween Horror Nights, the entire run. And again, it has moments. It has really, really good moments. I love Usopp versus Perona. I love their final fight against Kuma. I feel like a lot of the parts that people remember the most about Thriller Bark were things that happened after Thriller Bark finished, which is the stuff with Kuma. The stuff with, him coming in, whooping everyone's ass, the whole nothing happened skit. It was really good stuff. And it's unfortunate that it overshadows the other good elements of Thriller Bark. But again, I called it Skypiea 2.0 for a reason in our previous pod. It's isolated for a very long time in its own little world until the end of the arc. Skypiea was in its own little world, doing its own little thing, and Thriller Bark was also doing its own little thing up until the finale, which is when the world came back into One Piece. Kuma came back in. You get Dragon name drop. You get warlords all abound. And then the rest of these arcs from here on out are now more related to the world of One Piece. Whatever happens in these arcs, it triggers a domino effects in the rest of the mythos of One Piece. I think that's why people also don't like Thriller Bark. It's like we're in a haunted castle trying to solve these mysteries like the Scooby-Doo gang, and it's like, but for what? For what? Why are we here? Why? Oh, look, there's Kuma at the end of the tunnel. Good. Thank God he's there. But, that's Thriller Bark in a nutshell. Would you say you like this more than Skypiea? Less than Skypiea? About the same?
I'd say it's probably about the same.
It's definitely less for me. Yeah, I'm gonna say
less than Skypiea.
Yeah, less. Like,
wow, okay.
I like Skypiea way more. I just Skypiea. I'm gonna always stand with Skypiea. Skypiea is just always gonna be a great arc for me. I don't know in comparison.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of more moments. Honestly, I will admit there was a lot more moments in Thriller Bark. Like a very big moment, but I guess that would also not be fair to say because Thriller Bark is after Skypiea, so the moments are supposed to be bigger. But I guess in terms of like feeling at the times of watching them, Skypiea definitely was my favorite out of the two.
Yeah, I think Skypiea just beats it out just a little bit with Thriller Bark. I don't know, like I just kind of had more fun with Skypiea despite its length and its flaws. But not to say Thriller Bark doesn't have its moments. I mean, it has Brook, and Brook is king. Brook is king.
I think Brook does it for me. I think just overall, the Straw Hats as a crew have better moments in Thriller Bark than I think in Skypiea. Skypiea very much shares the space with the Shandians and the priest and the Straw Hats. So Thriller Bark is very much a Straw Hat arc.
Right. It is I don't know. No arc in One Piece is not important until it is. So Absalom will come back with Dr. Hogback. And
I don't think so.
they do have post time skip designs. I didn't know that. Hogback and Moria. So
A little good. That'll do some like Absalom. I don't think he has one.
does he not? Actually, he shouldn't. He's
Right.
dead. He's dead.
Right. He's dead.
But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for our Thriller Bark deep dive on our One Piece Chronicles segment. Goodness, we've been going on for almost 3 hours. We must have loved Thriller Bark so much. We must have loved it so much.
I guess so. Yeah.
What
can you do?
What can you do? Thriller Bark is one of those arcs that, despite the love and hate you may have for it, you just got to talk about it, because there's a lot to talk about with Thriller Bark. But there you have it, folks. There's our entire Thriller Bark deep dive of One Piece. If you guys want to listen to part 1, check out our Yonko Table playlist and library, where we have part 1 probably some pods ago. You'll find it. Don't worry. Just, Control F, type in One Piece. You're going to find it. I promise you. Trust me. Just trust me. And then here's our finale. And you got 2 parts of Thriller Bark from the beginning to end, covering everything from the mansion investigation to Luffy, Nightmare Luffy, and Zoro's iconic moment of nothing happened. But let us know what you think about Thriller Bark. What were your favorite moments? Did you not like this arc? Did you kind of fall off from One Piece at this point? Or did this make you more of a fan of One Piece? I have yet to meet a fan that says Thriller Bark was the arc that sold them on One Piece. I'm sure there's some out there. I'm sure there's someone out there. I haven't personally met them, but let us know. I would like to know where you are. That sounded like, I want to know where you are so I can snuff you out. But let us know what you think about Thriller Bark, your thoughts, your opinions. And if you liked what we had to say, share us around, give us a like. We're on all of your social media podcast sites, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, at the Yonko Table. Give us a like, give us a shout out, and let us know what you're looking forward to next with One Piece. But with that, everyone, I'm your Yonko host, Dr. Jace Attorney, fellow Yonko Grandmaster Who, and Supernova Kame Chris, signing off.
Wait.
Oh.
There's only one way to end this.
Wow, are you going to do it?
Yes, and you can fade it out, okay?
Fade it out? I don't know what it ends with. Well, okay, just go.
Just fade it out at any
ahead.
point. English version, skip the yo-ho-ho.
Okay.
Gather up all the crew. It's time to ship out Binks' brew. See winds blow to whoever knows the waves will be our guide. Or across the ocean tides, rays of sunshine far and wide. Birds they sing of cheerful things in circles passing by.
Yo ho ho
Yo ho ho.
Yo
Yo
ho
yo ho. We don't gotta do though.
Thank God.
Make no
I
sense.
was just about to say, is this really happening right now?
I could have kept going.
It did. And it ends. Good night, folks.